He's an international best-selling author. He has sold over 15 million copies of his books in 62 countries and in 75 languages. He's one of the world's top leadership experts, coaching billionaires and business titans. He's written over 20 books, and he's just penned the Everyday Heroes Manifesto, and is incredibly well known for his #1 best-selling book, The Monk That Sold His Ferrari, and the 5 a.m. Club. Please welcome Robin Sharma.
Hi, Miriam. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure, Robin. Now, I want to get straight into it. Dubai is a place full of very successful and very wealthy people. And I was recently talking to a wealthy millionaire friend of mine, and he said, no matter how much money he makes, it's just not enough. It never feels enough. Why do you think people generally in life feel so dissatisfied or depressed?
Fascinating question, I think, because of that very reason. I think I'm not judging, just reporting, but a lot of very good people have fallen into the snare of measuring who they are in the world by who they are in the world. And I mean, there's some very good research, for example, by the great positive psychologist Sonia Lyubomirsky. She found that people who have a net worth of $5 million, so it's not a billionaire, but a $5 million, are only incrementally happier than blue collar workers. So I'm not here to, so I think the key, and what I really focus on in the Everyday Hero Manifesto, there's a model I share in there that has been incredibly helpful to my high level clients, and it's the 8 forms of wealth. In other words, money is only one form of wealth. I've mentored a lot of billionaires, and money is all they have. And so, is money important? Absolutely. It'll give you freedom. You can do great things for your family. You can explore adventures. You can help other people. Having said that, there are 7 other forms of wealth, including family, including spirituality, including friendships, including your health, because of course, good health is a primary form of wealth.
Absolutely. And we'll get into those 8 other forms of wealth shortly. But how do you think a person should feel more satisfied? Like, what should they do to feel more satisfied?
Well, that's a very it's a very good question, Miriam, but it's a very big question. We could find more satisfaction in our work, because I believe a job is only a job if you see it as a job. I was in the Johannesburg airport, the domestic terminal, walked into the men's restroom, and I heard, "Welcome to my office." And it was the restroom attendant, and the place was perfect. And he said, like, I said, why are you so happy? Well, I'm an ambassador for South Africa. I have a chance to make your day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a job is only a job if we see it as a job. He saw it as some form of a calling and an opportunity to make a difference. So we can find more satisfaction by finding more meaning in our job. We can find more satisfaction by stripping away all the energy vampires and dream stealers, and populating our life with people who fill us with joy. Yeah. We can find more satisfaction by having a great morning routine and an excellent pre-sleep ritual. Joining the 5 a.m. club, running the 20-20-20 formula, starting your day with some sweaty exercise to release that pharmacy of mastery. Yeah. We can find more meaning in our life putting down our digital devices, because an addiction to distraction is the death of our creative production. Not having a notification for every social media video, not spending the best hours of our days on watching trivial videos, and maybe reading a book that will enrich us, maybe having a conversation with someone who will lift us up, maybe gardening, going out to the desert, learning a new craft. It's interesting, but when we're little kids, we do these things that make us happy. And as we get older and fall into the busyness of life, we stop doing the things that made us happy when we were younger. And it's so simple. Strip away the busyness and the triviality, focus on some of the things that will bring more satisfaction into your life.
So how do you get rid of digital distractions? So you mentioned turning off notifications is one. What else can people do? Because it's literally, I can speak for myself. It can be a bit of an addiction. Just even when you don't even realize, you're constantly picking up your phone, or you switch on the TV or YouTube or something. But what do you suggest people do to get rid of these digital distractions?
So the Everyday Hero Manifesto is a book about how do the best in the world become more positive, more productive, and have a higher impact. And there's a lot on how do you strip away complexity so you can find more simplicity. Let me give you some tactics to break free of the dopamine addiction. Number one, I call it a 0 device day. So, Miriam, if maybe it's Sunday, maybe it's Saturday. I know in Dubai, Friday and Saturday, I believe, are the weekend.
Oh, it's changed.
Maybe
It's changed.
it's changed.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's changed.
Okay, interesting. But you take one day a week, you take your digital device, you put it in the trunk of your car, or you put it in a dresser drawer, maybe in a little bag that says 0 device day. And I promise you this is a game changer. But from morning until let's say 7 a.m. that morning until 7 a.m. the next day, you leave it in the drawer. You leave it in the glove compartment of the car. It'll be difficult at first because all change is hard at first, messy in the middle, gorgeous at the end. But over time, you will see you'll start to be present again. The greatest gift you can give your work is presence. Greatest gift you can give your family is presence. Greatest gift you can give your teammates is presence. Second thing, do what all great geniuses do. Work alone or work free of distraction. And that just means you schedule a period of time, maybe it's 3 hours from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, where you make a commitment not to pick up your digital device, because there's a difference between real work and a difference between fake work. I'd also say turn off your notifications. I read in the Financial Times 2 days ago, they were doing a research project, and they were recruiting people to see how they functioned in terms of their productivity by having their notifications turned off. I kid you not, they had to cancel the study because no one wanted to participate. People felt if I can't check my notifications, I'm going to miss something important.
I'm not gonna be able to function, yeah.
But that's just self-deception. Right? We do our best work when we get into flow state, when we're away from digital distraction, when we really get monomaniacally focused on the things that are most important.
I love that. So why should I wake up at 5 a.m.?
Well, Tim Cook of Apple wakes up at 5 a.m. Michelle Obama wakes up at 5 a.m. Nelson Mandela woke up at 5 a.m. Billions of people, due to their faith, wake up at 5 a.m. to pray. Mm-hmm. Many of the most creative, productive, happy people in the world were early risers.
Yes.
So the Spartan warriors say it very beautifully. They say, sweat more in training and you'll bleed less in war.
Yes.
And so what many good souls do is they get up late and they chase the day, and they live their day like a 5-alarm fire in massive reactivity. Yeah. Getting up, joining the 5 a.m. club and running in that book, I talked about the 20-20-20 formula. But even if you just get up at 5 a.m., do it for 66 days, according to the Research University College London. Do anything for 66 days, you make it automatic. So practice it for 66 days. You get up at 5 a.m. Now you've got from 5 to 6 to run what I call in that book, the victory hour. And you do not check your notifications. You do not deplete your cognitive bandwidth on trivialities. Yeah. You spend 20 minutes exercising, which fundamentally changes your neurobiology, your emotionality. You spend 20 minutes journaling or praying or meditating. Incredible, right? And then you spend 20 minutes learning, because the leader who learns the most wins, and education is inoculation against disruption. Now, Miriam, it's 6 o'clock. You have dramatically set the tone for a great day. Final piece on that, your days are your life in miniature. Live great days. They stack into great weeks, quarters, years, decades, a lifetime.
So beautiful. I love that. So what time should I sleep then if I wake up at 5?
Well, someone asked me on a podcast yesterday, I don't want to be sleep deprived. And that's an assumption. There's an entire chapter in the 5 a.m. club about the essentialness of sleep. The science says the number one way to cut your longevity is deprive your sleep. And the science also says 7 to 9 hours is perfect. So I'm not recommending burning the candle at both ends. That's not what the 5 a.m. club method is about. It's about getting to sleep at, say, 10 o'clock. Because you know what? Here's something to think about. We make our worst choices between 10 o'clock and midnight. We eat the wrong food, watch the wrong TV shows, waste our time, drink too much, eat too much, whatever it is. Because we could get into the depletion of willpower. It's called willpower depletion. But why not go to bed at 10:30? I like 11 o'clock. Then you get up at 4:45. Train yourself to get up and run the 5 a.m. club method from 5 to 6. Trust me, you have so much more energy. And then one of my secret weapons is I take a nap, like Churchill, like JFK.
What's the perfect amount of nap time?
I've read, don't go any longer than 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I learned this from my dad, who turned 85 2 weeks ago. He slept for an hour. He was a family doctor, 45 years. And he would come home and have a family meal and then sleep. We had an early family meal. And then he would take a nap. And I watched him do this. And he'd take a nap from 4 to 5. And then he'd go back to work until 10 o'clock. I mean, that's how it was done in those days. And so for me, I learned this when I was in undergrad at school. I just would, from about my peak time is 4:30 to 5:30. I sleep for an hour and then I have a second wind. And then in the evening, I have more energy. I need less food and I'm just a whole lot happier. And it gives me like another day. Then I have a great family meal. I watch a documentary, I'll read, do all sorts of interesting things.
You mentioned burning the candle at both ends. What should people do if they do feel a little bit burnt out at work or at home in their life? I do an evening show at Virgin Radio, and I get a lot of calls from people who, I mean, typically in the evening, you feel a little bit more nostalgic or lonely. What should people do if they feel burnt out?
Well, there's a model in the Everyday Hero Manifesto called the twin cycles of elite performance. And if you look at the research, for example, from the Energy Project, they've found that the most productive people don't work in a linear way. This mindset, which comes from the factory era, let me work harder to get more done, is wrong. The most productive people are actually less like marathoners. They're not hustle and grinders. They're more like sprinters. So I would say when you work like a woman on a deep mission, which I know you are, and then take the time to go into what I describe in the book, the deep recovery cycle. See, a lot of people are really good at working and burning the candle at both hours, but they're not really good at resting. And the most productive people are professional resters. If you look at the Picassos and the Basquiats and the Beethovens, if you look at the top business titans, not all of them, but many of them, when they worked with intensity, deep focus, and then they understood the power of regeneration. So John Lennon said it well. He said, time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. And there's a lot in the Everyday Hero Manifesto, but the greatest artists, the greatest entrepreneurs, how they installed recovery, not just into their years, into their days and weeks. Because you can't inspire your team if you're de-inspired. But most of us were busy being busy. We run ourselves down. We have no me time. We lose our inspiration. And then we don't do our best work. We de-energize our teammates. We get cranky and grumpy. We're in bad moods. And those bad moods become bad weeks, bad years, and sometimes bad decades.
Yeah, I know for a fact that with me, for example, it's almost a bit of an addiction, staying busy, filling my day up, and I think we learned this during the pandemic, that slowing down is important.
Blaise Pascal, the French mathematician, said something so powerful. He said, most of a person's miseries derive from their inability to sit quietly in a room alone. We get our best ideas when we're alone. We get to know ourselves when we're alone. We think about the big questions of life when we're alone. But you're right. Society has trained us to escape from intimate conversations, to escape from hard books that grow us. I believe that the discomfort of growth is always less dangerous than the illusion of safety. But what do most of us do? We escape from real work. We escape from real relationships. We escape from difficult workouts. We escape from the very things that would make us great. I posted on Instagram yesterday. In the end, we realized that doing hard things gives us an easy life. And doing easy things ultimately makes life hard.
Yeah, beautifully said. I love that. So, Robin, what are the top 3 things that anyone should start doing now to improve their life?
I would say I have a protocol called the 60-minute student. See, victims love entertainment, leaders love education. And I also call it the 2x, 3x mindset, to double your income and impact, triple your investment in your personal development and your professional education. Because as you become a bigger, better, wiser, stronger, more real, more loving, braver person, you build your business, your income, your impact, your relationships reflect your growth. So the 60-minute student habit: do not go to sleep anytime unless you spent 1 hour in learning. Incredible, like the best of the best are incredibly curious. Second thing I'd say the second wind workout protocol. That means if you believe I believe exercise is a game changer. It affects your moods, it increases your energy, your creativity, your resilience to stress, creates neurogenesis, which repairs damaged brain cells. Well, if exercise is powerful, why would you only do it at 5 a.m. in the morning? So at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I don't know how you'll do it with your evening show, but find some time to go for a yoga class, a swim, a nature walk, even if it's only 20 minutes, Miriam. Yes. It is so powerful for your energy and your evenings and your happiness. That would be the second thing. Third thing I would say is so powerful: strip out the energy vampires from your life. Take a piece of paper or in your journal, do 2 columns, write down the 5 top people who steal your joy. These are the people you say, I've got an ethical ambition, I've got this mighty mission or this idea, here's what it is, and they find some way to destroy your bubble. You know who they are. Everyone has these. Remove these 5 people from your life, and your listeners are going to go, well, what if it's my mom? What if it's my dad? What if it's my best friend? Maybe it's selective association. Don't talk to them every day. Talk to them once a week or once a month. Yeah. Remove those 5 energy vampires and fill your life with the 5 people who just make you feel good. They get you, they support you, they understand you, they're positive, they're optimistic, they're not trolls and dream stealers. So those would be the 3 tactics that might seem simple, but if you do them with consistency, you'll realize they'll make a profound difference in your creativity, productivity, and your impact.
So how important is rhetoric? How should we speak to ourselves?
There is a chapter actually in the Everyday Hero Manifesto that talks about the remarkable power of words. And I say, we live in that chapter, we live in a culture where if you have a nice pair of trainers, someone might say to you, those are sick kicks. And Miriam, if you have a really amazing show, maybe one of your teammates might say, you killed it. And if you have a massive workout, your trainer might say, you murdered it. But sick, killing, and murder are not good words. There's books, there are people out there that say, do epic, S-H-I-T. I don't want to call my work S-H-I-T. And you might call me old school, but I think it's a pretty good school. Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Serena Williams, like the legends all understand that the words you use structure your core beliefs, and your behavior every day reflects your beliefs. Mm-hmm. So if you use words like I murdered it, I'm sick, you might call me strange, but I don't even call autumn fall, because falls are bad, not good. So I try my best, when I mentor my clients, and I talk about it in the Everyday Hero Manifesto, if you look at the statespeople, how did they free their nations? How did the great women and men of the world electrify their followers? Through words. So the words we use influence others, and the words we use primarily, seriously, set up our self-identity. And once you rescript your self-identity, then your performance, your productivity, your happiness, everything follows.
Because words are essentially a vibration. So, I'm also very conscious of that on air, because on the radio, of course, it's only mainly, vibration and words.
Well, I think that's very profound. How many people, when you interview them, I'm not judging, just reporting, but they use words like hate. They use words like bad. I'm sick of this. And those words, you're totally right. Those words are energy. They do have a vibration. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. And now I want to talk about the 8 forms of wealth that you mentioned in the Everyday Manifesto, in the Everyday Hero Manifesto. Is that, sorry?
That's it.
The Every Hero Manifesto.
The Everyday Hero Manifesto. I have to come up with simpler titles, I think.
No. I want to talk about
the manifesto.
Yeah, the manifesto. Sorry.
The book. The
one that makes you a
darn
hero.
book.
Yes. I want to talk about the 8 forms of wealth in your new book, and what are they, and if you could explain them in detail.
Okay, so the starting premise is our world sets us up in many ways to fail. Our world measures who we are in the world and our value by our money and our position and our title. How many times have you heard a podcast? Our next guest is, I'm so happy, he's a billionaire. How often do you hear our next guest, super successful, true titan? They're a gardener at the park. They're a teacher at my kid's school. Next person is a superstar. They work in the local food bank. And I think that's what's wrong or what's challenging in our world right now. So the premise is money is only one form of wealth.
Yes.
May we not measure our value as human beings by money solely. So the 8 forms of wealth. I don't have the book in front of me right now, but number 1, self-mastery. What an incredible form of wealth, to build intimacy with your gifts and your talents through prayer, meditation, reading, journaling, all the things I talked about in the Everyday Hero Manifesto. Yeah. Second form of wealth is health. In one wisdom tradition, they say when we are young, we would sacrifice all of our health for wealth. And when we get old and wise, we would sacrifice all of our wealth for one day of health. Someone once said, slipped me a piece of paper and it said, wealth is the crown on the well person's head that only the ill person can see. So the second form of wealth, if you have great health, you're really wealthy and blessed. Third form of wealth, family. Like I mentioned, Dad turned 85 2 weeks ago. As I age, I realize more and more, if you have a great family, it is a priceless treasure. Honor your family, your children. I'd add your friends as well. Mm-hmm. Fourth form of wealth, your craft. There are probably so many, I guess maybe you're called a broadcaster. I don't know what your term of art is, but there's so many, but just see your work as a craft where you study the great ones and you deconstruct maybe a great show, why it went so well. And as you get more successful, you become even more humble to learn, because the thing about a master is she always thinks like a beginner. Our work is a craft that can provide so much wealth and psychic joy. Fifth form of wealth, money. Having money allows you to help people, do amazing things for your family. It gives you tons of freedom of time. Of course, money's important. Yeah. When money becomes our ruler, then it becomes a problem, I believe. And you referred to someone you had a conversation with. It can become an addiction. And it becomes like we're on a hamster wheel. And even if you have $1 billion while someone else has 3 billion, and guess what? You never actually enjoy your money because you're too busy feeling bad because you don't have enough. What are we at? I think the sixth form of wealth. Exactly, sixth form of wealth. Our circle of genius. Are you spending your time with people whose lives you want to be living? And too many people have toxic people in their lives. There's a lot in the book about removing toxic influences, toxic addictions, toxic distractions, toxic things that affect your productivity, your energy, positivity, your service to the world. 7, adventure. If you have adventure, I love Dubai. Every time I get to Dubai, I'm happy. It's glittering. People are interesting. There's great restaurants in Dubai.
Yes.
I often go to the same places when I get there because the food is so good. I eat so well in Dubai. There's such an adventure. So the 7th form of wealth is adventure. The human brain craves novelty. So we've had a very difficult 2 years. If you feel comfortable or whatever, get out there and see the world again. If not, find adventure in Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Find adventure in a great book. Find adventure in a great documentary. I just watched this one called Jump Shot the other day, which is amazing. Final form of wealth. My dad used to say to me when I was growing up, Robin, when you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice. I think the biggest form of wealth, serving other people.
Beautiful. I love that. All of those so profound, so incredibly profound. How do you think, Robin, people should stop comparing themselves to other people? So how do I stop comparing myself to other people?
Eleanor Roosevelt said it so much more elegantly than I ever could, Miriam. And she said, comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. Obviously, look on social media, for example, you're on social media, I'm on social media, but it creates this incredible culture of comparison if we're not careful. I think technology is amazing, but I think we should use it with discernment. How do we stop? We stop. The key to transformation is awareness. So through your journaling or through just thinking about it, reflection, you start to go, I wake up in the morning. First thing I do is I pull out my phone. I check the feeds of the influencers I follow. I feel bad about some of them have manufactured lives, right? They're using the right filter. Wow, I'm really not running my own race. I'm really comparing myself a lot. And a lot of that isn't even true. And why am I making myself so unhappy? You know what? I'm going to stop doing that. And human beings have the power to change. And if you do it every day, it becomes a habit and you'll stumble and fall, but still the next day you go, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to join the 5 a.m. club. Maybe I'll pray and read. Maybe I'll work out, but I'm not going to start comparing myself and doing things that make me feel bad because I'm not enough. Because there's a chapter in the book. It starts off in the book. You are good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone in this world has gifts and talents. Everyone in this world has the potential to make someone's day. Everyone in this world can become a better person by reading and learning and studying and having mentors or listening to elders.
Yeah.
So we are good enough. We might not have a billion, but why should we measure ourselves by having a billion?
And Robin, how do people find their dharma, their ikagi, their purpose? What if someone is not living to their purpose now? How do they find what their purpose is?
I think you can't help not living your purpose. I think every one of us is in process of finding our purpose.
Yep.
And if we spend a month, if we spend 20 years off purpose, that was necessary to get us on purpose. And so I believe, failure is necessary for our fortune. And when I look back at my life, the relationships that didn't work out, the betrayals that didn't work, that hurt me, the heartbreaks, the stumbles, well, my wounds became my wisdom. My trials became my triumphs.
Yep.
My failures served me incredibly well. And so I think that's, again, not to compare and to honor ourselves. Where are your scars with pride, because it is our greatest difficulties that made you, you. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's everything right with it. And so you are on purpose. And when you're in a valley of darkness and a winter of our life, who was it? Albert Camus. He said, it is because of my night. Albert Camus said, in the midst of a difficult winter,
yeah,
I found within me an invincible summer.
Beautiful. Wow, so profound, so beautiful. You mentioned heartbreak. Sometimes I get calls on air of people who are going through heartbreak. What should they do? What's your advice to anyone who is going through any sort of heartache or heart pain, whether from a relationship or if they're looking for a job or something that's happened in their life?
Excellent, excellent, excellent question. You know what our society and too many people say? Get busy. Forget about it. Work harder. Run from the pain. What I would humbly and respectfully say is stay in the pain. Befriend pain or sadness or anger. It's an emotion. And as human beings, we have a whole range of emotions. Sadness, regret, shame, disappointment, anger, joy, curiosity, passion, enthusiasm, gratefulness. What makes us human is intimacy with the entire range of our emotions. So if you're feeling heartbreak, sadness, shame, disappointment, guess what? I do too. It's called being human.
Yeah.
Use that time. A great life is a series of seasons. Use that season of heartbreak. Use the pain to purify you. Stay with it. Get to know with it. Feel it in your body. Pray about it. Journal about it. I mentioned this in the book. I once sat next to a painter on an airplane flight to Paris. He said, you know what? I pick relationship partners that break my heart. And I said, what? He said, yes, because when I'm heartbroken, I do my greatest work. Look at the great artists. They use their suffering to crack the cover over their arrogant ego. And what came out? Love, truth, honor, danger, color, beauty. That's how you become a great artist. You use your pain to do your best work.
So true. And funny that you say that, because actually today I released a little poetry book of a series of heartbreak poems that I went through like 3 years ago. It's funny because I can't even look at those poems now. It felt like a different person wrote it, but it was a part of my healing. So,
well, congratulations. And poetry is writing in a journal and writing poetry is a great way to process through. And what's the name of the book, if I may ask?
It's called Green Space. So I'm originally from Afghanistan, and in the Western world, when you go through a breakup or you go through heartache, generally it's a void, or you feel an emptiness. But in the Afghan culture, when someone leaves your life, you call it green space. So may that space always be abundant and green. So
wow. That's a wow.
I mean,
I love that.
That's probably the only part as well. Just the title.
No, to me, it's so profound. Like when someone leaves your life, they've opened up some green space. That makes me think of something Rumi said. He said,
yes,
something like well beyond.
Yes.
Right. Well beyond. I believe it's well beyond right or wrong. Yes. There is a field.
I'll meet you there.
I'll meet you there. Incredible. Incredible.
Oh my gosh, now I'm quoting Rumi with Robin Sharma. This is all crazy. Wow.
I know. You never know what life will bring to you, right? Look what I learned from you. Amazing.
Oh my gosh. This is such an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to get your new book. I am so incredibly excited. How does the average person be an everyday hero? How can anyone become an everyday hero?
I spent 16 months in the pandemic writing this book, and I put my heart and my soul in it. And a lot of my methodology that I've developed over the past 26 or 27 years, working with billionaires and sports stars and entertainment royalty, it's in the book. And the book has hundreds of tactics and principles. So anyone who wants to go deep can read the Everyday Hero Manifesto or listen to the audiobook. But how do I summarize it? Like, how can we be an everyday hero? Well, the first thing to remember is, yes, Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa and Rosa Parks and Shakespeare and Einstein and Hedy Lamarr and Joan of Arc, they were heroes. Mm-hmm. But isn't the teacher down the street a hero? Isn't the baker who you walk in there and every day in this complex world, they're smiling and they're remembering your name? Isn't she a hero or he a hero? What about the taxi driver? Where a lot of taxis might not have pride in their work. That person is beautifully dressed. The taxi is perfect. So the starting point again is being aware that no matter what your station is in life, you have the opportunity to be a hero. And that sounds simple, but it's so profound if you understand the methods behind it. Second thing I would say is start. We can change the world or make excuses, but you can't do both. Victims make excuses. I'm not going to read the book. It wouldn't work. I'm not going to get up early. I'm not going to do a workout. I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to stop complaining. I'm not going to put down my phone. I'm not going to stop drinking. I'm not going to let go of my past. I'm not going to dream a little bit bigger. That stuff is self-help. Well, that story will keep you stuck. The people who build empires of maybe it's businesses or maybe it's spirituality. Mm-hmm. They start and then they understand that small, daily, seemingly insignificant improvements, when done consistently over time, lead to stunning results. Little wins every single day. I've been teaching this for 2 decades. Little wins done every single day amount to a tsunami of transformation. It's not what you do once a year that's important. It's what you do every day. Every human being can transform. I could get into the neurobiology, neuroplasticity, but if we have a story that I can't be one of those people who's healthy, happy, fit, financially free, well, then you won't even start. And then it becomes what the positive psychologists call a self-fulfilling prophecy. We create our world in many.
I love that. It's such a pleasure. I wish I could actually get my book signed by you right now. Just there you go. So many of your books at home, but it's been such a pleasure, Robin. Grab a copy of his latest book. Such an honor. Such an honor.
And if I could just mention something, you just reminded me, and I'll be happy to sign your book. I'm going to be in Dubai October 13 for an event called Impactors Global. And anyone can just Google it. But if you want to come, I've really enjoyed this. I can arrange for you to come as my guest, and I'm going to sign your book there. How does that sound?
Oh my gosh, I would absolutely love that. I think I actually manifested this.
Sure.
Robin, I think you're a part of my manifestation.
You're powerful.
Thank you so much. Such an absolute pleasure. And I'll see you in October.